Hello there. This is a story of a queen who forgot her value and acted like a slave girl. In other words, this is a story of mother who's parent to small child who's also very overworked and overwhelmed at work and also at her private life. Now, a lot of us get ourselves into situations where we feel stuck. We feel like we are in the prison. And often it feels like there is no way out. We feel overwhelmed. We feel stressed, anxious, frustrated, even desperate. Not sure what to do or how to end this situation. The first thing to get out of this type of situation is to acknowledge and understand that we are the ones who created this situation. Or in other words, we allowed this situation to happen, to manifest, to unfold to the way it is currently, right now. Let's take the example of mother who is overworked, overwhelmed, exhausted, and basically there is no energy enough for herself, for her loved ones, and for things that she wants to do. She wants to build and create, because pretty much everything goes to her work. Now, how did this started? Now, in this specific example, let's say this woman, this mother, is called Joanna. So Joanna was hunting for a job for a long time until she found one and she was hired. And from the day one, she basically wanted to show herself and demonstrate to her employer, to her company, that she has a can-do attitude, that if necessary, she can stay after work hours, work longer, just so that the job gets done. Basically to go extra mile. And while at certain contexts and situations, this can be a good attitude, very attractive, that others are looking for, and to many employers, this is also a sign that the person is not just here for the buck, but actually cares about the work that she or he does. While that is also true, but then there is other side of this character trait. The shadow side, the unhealthy side, that if we do this, if we convince our employer that we will be here for them no matter what, that can be very tempting also from the employer's side to start increase the load, increase the responsibilities, and yet not increase the compensation for the increased load and responsibilities. because we've demonstrated in the past that, yeah, you increased my load and I was able to do it without complaints, and still delivered in time, and there were no missed deadlines. And that then can give false signals that, hey, this gal or this guy can handle it. The more we demonstrate this, the stronger it builds the image or story that, yeah, like this is normal. Like this becomes like a normal expectation for the employer that, yeah, we can give them more. Like it's okay. No one is complaining. No one's got sick, at least yet. So we can keep this doing if necessary. Perhaps we can even save some money, and we don't need to hire an extra workforce because this person can do this. This person can do 2 or maybe 3 people job. Yeah. And yeah, it's a tough situation. Now let's get back to our overworked mother, Joanna, in this example. It's important to understand like why she and other people like her decided to take on more work. Where is this coming from? Where is this coming from? Is this coming from a self-worth? Or is this coming from a place that the person who is accepting extra load for no extra compensation is not valuing herself enough? I think the answer is clear to that question. It's obviously coming from the place of lack of self-worth or not valuing self enough. And often this comes from fear of survival mode. It's like, I just got this new job, I gotta make sure that I will leave a good first impression so that they keep me, so that I won't need to look out for a new job. I will secure this position at all costs. At all costs. Meaning more work, more energy, more fatigue. Yeah. And in this example, this overworked and overwhelmed Joanna, she hasn't had a serious conversation with her managers that like this is getting too hard to manage all of this load, all of these additional projects. Like this is overwhelming, like this is extremely difficult. And she hasn't had a serious conversation about this because deep inside she has a fear that if she did that, then she would be perceived as someone incapable of achieving that task. So there is a fear of what others will think about me. How will I be perceived? As someone who initially was able to take on additional tasks and do them, and now turning into someone who suddenly no longer can deliver. How will that impact her? So there is a fear, obviously, of perception. How will I be perceived? Which comes from deeper limiting belief of not feeling good enough. Because if there were no such belief of I don't feel worthy or good enough, then there would be no fear of what others will think about self. And the paradox of Joanna in this example is that there was also part of her that hoped that once she proves herself as valuable asset to the company by taking on additional responsibilities and tasks, then the management will value herself more, and they will compensate her more for that adequately. A raise, salary, or a position. And often that's not the case what actually happens. And when this doesn't happen, it means that instead of increasing your value by taking more load, you have actually decreased your own value, because you have now taken on more responsibilities and tasks and time and effort and energy. And you're still getting paid the same. And there are often excuses, yeah, you need to do this until XYZ happens. So, tragically, like, the value even goes down as a worker, for the worker, but not for the company. For the company, it's the best deal ever. It's like, we can pay less, and out of this worker we can squeeze even more. What's happening with Joanna in this example is that she doesn't feel worthy enough, and she's scared to say no. She thinks that she needs to continuously prove herself over and over and over again. That's validation seeking. And most of us humans have it within us. We crave belonging to the group, to be recognized by others, our peers, that yes, we are worthy, yes, we are good enough, yes, we deserve this and that. That's why we often go extra mile. Only because internally we think we're not good enough. And that's why we need an external validation source, someone else who will tell us, good job, great, love it. Yeah, now you're definitely more worthy. It's like, because you finished that job. Are you? And when Joanna takes on additional responsibilities, she has a feeling that she has to take care of everything in the company. She has this overly hyper exaggerated feeling of responsibility. Everything needs to be taken care. And this pattern often comes from childhood, early childhood days, when there was a painful situation, and often one of the parents were not adequately meeting the needs of a child, and was actually expecting the child to meet his or her own needs, the parents' needs. And then the child was like prematurely forced or pushed into this mindset mentality of the adult. Now you need to take care of others to be loved conditionally. of course. If you don't do this, then you will experience the negative consequences as a child. You will not treat it the same way. You will not be loved in the same way. Perhaps you will even have a punishment if you don't meet these expectations now as almost like a caregiver who takes on this responsibility and for others, for the parents and maybe even other people. So when there is this type of pattern where you feel like you have to manage and control and take care of everything around you, then of course it can be scary to let go of the control, and there might be a fear that if you do, then something bad or terrible will happen to you based on this childhood experience. This pattern could be created in many, many different scenarios. One is, for example, a child, an older child, were granted responsibility to take care of his younger sibling, perhaps, or not even granted this responsibility, but they were together and something bad happened to the younger sibling, and then the parents were angry with the older child, like, well, why didn't you take care of your younger sibling? And then that can create also like even a deep shame or a guilt that, oh my God, I need to do a better job in order to have a chance of better treatment for myself from others, including my parents. It's like, if I want to be loved by my parents, I definitely need to do a better job by taking care of others around me, other people and their needs and what they want from me. So yeah, and this can turn into also like a people pleaser, hard to say no. So it's a very damaging pattern for your own sense of self-worth. And this, the people-pleasing mentality also turns into often to an unconscious manipulation, because we want to be liked. So we will do all kinds of things to make sure that others like us. So we will play masks, we will pretend, we will be inauthentic if needed, so that we get accepted, and by getting accepted, our needs are being met. Needs that are not clear and direct, but indirect. So in this way, we are manipulating with others to make sure that we meet these needs that we're scared to ask directly from others. And we don't believe that we deserve them, or that others will meet them or accept to meet them. For Joanna, who is overwhelmed and can't say no, or is afraid to say no, yeah, this leads even to more and more and more load and potential burnout and like mental and psychological and strain, and it's getting like really difficult. So what can be done? Short answer, doing shadow work or parts work, yeah, because there are at least two opposing parts. Now there is one part that is more conscious part that wants the change, to change this situation to something more healthy. But then there is another part, the opposing part, the protector part, that actually thinks that change is dangerous, and that if we change, then we are risking with like terrible consequences So the best option is not to change, but to remain like this. And to resolve this inner conflict, parts work needs to be done. This protector parts, this protector part needs to be addressed. Having a genuine conversation, understand it, its fears, why is it doing this? And then address the other part that actually wants the change, and then see where they can meet each other and find a common ground and a good solution that is a win-win for both, not win-lose or lose-lose for both. Then it's even worse. Until Joanna sits with her, these two parts, especially the one that is in opposition to change, that is creating this resistance, this fear to change something, then it's going to be very difficult to create a sustainable change. And these parts are often formed when we are small kids. We experienced something that created this emotional and psychological wound within us. And from that moment, we started to view the world in a specific way, a different way, that would make sure that we are protected. And we would disown anything that would go against that. So this is how these parts are trying to protect us, but at the same time, while protecting us, they're also limiting us to grow, to move forward. And that's why we feel stuck internally, because there's like a push-pull dynamic. And yeah, so this is something that can be done, can be resolved, so that we can move forward,